cash payments were from family members and family friends.
Why? We are not answering why.
I wanted EFT going directly into the account of the attorneys.
But why must it come from Mr. Nagan? Why can't it be direct from you?
I guess it'll be more bank charges, I don't know.
No.
So,
as you are saying it, I'm sure you can tell that you are what.
guests have any comments on members of the public in the same situation where we are definitely safety conscious and yet we are sitting with a vehicle that is subpar in terms of safety standards? What is to be done about those?
Yeah, thank you for that. Unfortunately, we only got that voice note or in a position to play it after we'd concluded our interview, which was with Bobby Ramachwede, on the one hand, CEO of the Automobile Association, and Dr. Tsetle Diteko, Chief Policy Officer at the Vehicle Manufacturers Organization, NAMSA. We'll see if we can follow up on that in some way. I mean, I don't know what would happen if you want to upgrade and if there's going to be any program to make that a little bit easier, perhaps a little bit early for that, given that there's a 6-month compliance period. I'm not sure the regulations or the legislation is now actually in place, but lots for us to follow up. We'll see what we can do. 20 minutes now to 5.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele, a very good afternoon to you. What's happening?
While John Erasmus will be hoping for more of the same when the Springboks take on New Zealand in the third test of rugby's greatest rivalry at FNB Stadium on Saturday. The only injury-enforced change will see Damian Willemse ruled out as Cheslin Colby switches to fullback, while Kurtley Arons has selected at wing. In the front row, Oxenchair, Wilco Lowe and Malcolm Marks return to the starting team, with Gerard Steenkamp, Thomas de Toit and Dion Fourie dropping down to the bench.
Players' method of going through a week, win or lose, and going for each department and see how that syncs to the other departments. That's the one thing. I think we try to pinpoint the mistakes, amplify the good stuff that we do. And then the last thing is obviously we're playing for South Africa and we don't want to lose 2 test matches in a row, which hasn't happened in a long time. That was part of the desperation. Now the desperation must be, let's make sure this weekend, or try to make sure this weekend, that we don't go to Baltimore and play for a draw.
Abdeslam Adu has told Paul Padime and Spiwe Masilela to remain coachable. That's after playing a starring role in Orlando Pirates' second leg MTN8 semi-final win over Sekhukhune United. The defending champions advanced to a 5th consecutive final following a 4-0 aggregate win and will next take on Mamelodi Sundowns, while Wadu has discussed the pressure that comes with early success at the Buccaneers.
They must keep working, must keep being humble, listening to be coachable. It's only the first games. A career is minimum 10 years. When I will have opportunity to give them a game time, definitely I will give them. They still must work and be very, very professional, because football, you can go high quickly, but you can fall quickly as well.
Roberto De Zebra admits he's concerned by Tottenham Hotspur's mentality after suffering back-to-back defeats in the Premier League. The loss to Newcastle United means that Spurs have only won 3 of their past 23 league games on home soil, while further departures are expected after Richarlison and Kevin Danso asked to leave the club.
Is the biggest problem, is the biggest challenge, is the biggest target, is to find a right mentality. Unfortunately, you can't buy the mentality in the transfer market or putting many players inside. Football is a magic thing, no? You can change many players in one window of transfer market and you can find the balance immediately, or you need more time.
And Cassandra Alexander captured her second Ladies Open European Tour title at the Women's Irish Open, having produced a wire-to-wire performance at the K Club. The South African fired a final round of 70 to secure a 3-shot victory on 20 under par. The win is her first in 2026 after 5 run-up finishes this season. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
17 minutes now to 5 o'clock. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Linksfield was giving us problems earlier. Linksfield still difficult?
Yeah, no, definitely still an issue. If you're traveling from Alex heading towards Germiston, there's that accident scene on the N3 southbound near Linksfield Road, now causing more than an hour delay all the way from the Petlu interchange in Benoni. Also, slow-moving traffic on Atlas Road between Top Road and the N12. Bryanston, traffic remains sluggish. This is heading towards four-ways. N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. Midrand, also traffic pressure on Old Pretoria Road. This is between Olifantsfontein and New Road. And in Hermanstad, leaving the Pretoria CBD, expect some delays on Eskiam Pahlele. This is between Wormhagen and the R80. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Clever excuses for being late, number
94. I ran out of petrol and had to push my car to the petrol station. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
Joy of Jazz.
The Standard Bank Joy of Jazz returns on September 25 and 26.
Thank you so much.
Join 702 at the Dina Lady stage. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
7:02 Drive. It's 5 o'clock. Coming up on the show, I've just seen news out of the Madlanga Commission. Criminal charges have been laid against Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim for failing to appear before the Madlanga Commission. After 5, we'll talk about today's session, which was really, really interesting. Uncomfortable at times, I have to say. Corinda Jagmohan will be updating us on that at about 5:15. Also coming up, speaking of vehicles and traffic, Joburg's driving license centres are, it would seem, in a parlous state, and much of it has to do with a real financial standoff. The city apparently owes the province a huge amount of money, more than a year in licensing fees. We'll find out how this is affecting the licensing centres and how this might be fixed when we chat to Julius Kleinans, joining us from Outer Way, is their local government expert. It's 14 minutes to 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So one of the good things about cell phones, and there are many, many, many good things about cell phones, I think, as well as many, many, many potentially irritating and possibly not good things about them as well, is that if you're in an awkward conversation, you can say, hello, hi. I think you're breaking up, but that doesn't always work in person. I've tried it, so trust me, you don't need to try it for yourselves. People mainly just give you a very odd look if you suggest anything like that. But I did wonder, do you have a method for getting out of awkward conversations? Easier perhaps at a party or a large gathering, you could say, my boss is calling me, or mustache, or whatever. Tolakele, awkward conversations, how do you get out of it? Big yawns, maybe?
I don't have a strategy. I'm the kind of sort of person that will just kind of stay through it until the other person decides. But this weekend, I did watch a masterclass from my friend who was on the phone with someone, and she was signaling to me that she's bored of the conversation. So while the person was busy speaking, she hung up the phone and then she put her phone on flight mode. And then she's like, yeah, I'll reopen my phone after an hour and just say I lost network. And I was wow.
Yes.
Wow, it was a masterclass. It was amazing.
Okay, and smoothly done, hey?
She then responded the day after, which I was like, nice. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, okay, so a bit of class at the end, just smooth over.
Just to push the story through.
Karabo Charlie, if you've had enough, what do you do?
So in person, I would make an excuse, say, I need to go to the gents. And I would stay there until, the person is probably bored or has to leave. And then I'll stay there for a few minutes. And then later on, check if they're still around. And then,
what if they've got staying power? I mean, you're in the gents.
Then I'm stuck.
Wouldn't it have been you are stuck. Wouldn't it have been easier just to go through the chat?
And then, no. Sometimes it's really awkward. And then if it's a phone call and I'm at work, I'll just say, my boss is calling me. Call me in the next 30 minutes or so. I need to go into a meeting. And that's always works.
I always, I know people who love to chat, and I don't like to chat on the phone. I'm not that kind. And I would always say, okay, well, listen, hey, let's make a time to meet. What's your diary look like, And I would try and move the conversation in that direction. But it doesn't come up much anymore because nobody really calls me.
Well, John, aren't you successful?
While you're in the toilet, Karabo Charlie, and you've managed to escape your guy, give me a call. I mean, I could use some friendship, right? Anyway, how do you get out of awkward conversations? Please tell us. We can always use a couple of tips. I mean, some people are just very blunt and they say, okay, I have to go, bye. And then they walk off, and short of pursuing them and, tugging at their coat sleeves, which we ought to have outgrown, but perhaps haven't emotionally. It's very difficult to make them stay. Your tips, please. 11 minutes to 5.
Drive Home with John Perlman
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, Anna Cox, the Daily Maverick journalist, has really set out in a great deal of detail what's going on at the Joburg City licensing centres. And a lot of it has to do with money, or rather the failure to actually pay money. On the one hand, the city of Johannesburg is supposed to pass on money that they've got from licensing fees to the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. They haven't done that since June 2025, and this is confirmed by the city, so there's no dispute about that. But people have gone to licensing stations and have found, for example, they say, well, we don't have paper. And it's not just sort of reams of A4, but there's specific paper used for the printing of the relevant documents. So it's a bad situation. It obviously didn't happen overnight. It's been building for a while. How did we get here? How do we get beyond it? Julius Kleinans is Executive Manager for Local Government at Outer. Mr. Kleinans, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. As I was saying, the stuff doesn't just explode into reality. It builds and builds and builds. Was there a point at which it could have been stopped? Good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, John. Of course, this hasn't happened overnight, and we see every year and every month where these municipalities get audit reports, and they have to also report to the provincial government, who has oversight over them. So failure hasn't occurred overnight. I think this is a systemic issue that we're starting to see unfolding, and unfortunately, it's the innocent people, the motorists, that's bearing the brunt of it.
In terms of is there a quick fix? Obviously, whenever there's money, there's budget. When there's budget, there's political wrangling, if you're lucky, and maybe just stonewalling if you're not. But if money was paid over that was owed and cash flowed into services and supplies that were needed, could we get back on track quite quickly? Or have we done sufficient damage now to suggest that maybe this can't be fixed, certainly not anytime soon?
I think the challenge we have is the very people who caused this problem are still in power and overseeing it. So we haven't really seen proper accountability for those who have failed in their duties yet. And I don't think we're going to see it soon. The local elections are around the corner. However, the city is not in a good financial position. It's going to take, I think, a couple of years to really rectify things and get it on a sustainable course again. We've seen money shifting around, just paying electricity debt now in the billions. All of a sudden that money's been coughed up. But the question is, where did it come from? So I cannot see that we're going to get out of this soon. And unfortunately, we're still holding on to the old methods and ways of applying for licenses, people queuing up at stations, and it's just inefficient. And I think for as long as we don't look at the root causes of the problem, we're not going to get out of it.
So I did say, no, we're not talking about ordinary A4 paper, but in fact, there's a shortage of that as well. Toner cartridges, so the printers are not working. And then something called face value document paper. Presumably that's for license discs and the renewal notices that you get and so on. Is that something that's difficult to get hold of? There can't be any procurement challenges there, or might there be?
Yeah, look, with the normal paper, no. But obviously there are legislative requirements and the logistics that goes with it. So yes, there are procurement processes that needs to be in place. And obviously with contracts coming to an end or potentially vendors not being paid, there's managers that's supposed to be held accountable for that, and they have to plan in advance. So, John, this is basic business principles.
Yes.
And the city hasn't applied it for years, and that's where the failure is. I think it's in the leadership and the management, and they need to be held accountable.
Would it be fair to say there's a direct connection between the collapse of this kind of system and the further mushrooming, because that wouldn't be anything new either, of shortcuts, illegal documentation being provided and so on? I think we've seen sufficient examples of services being deliberately undermined and even broken as a way of getting irregular alternatives into prime position in the market. Are we seeing a little bit of this here as well?
Look, I think it's been the reality over a couple of years now, so I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, evidence needs to lead to that, and unfortunately, evidence only follows after those issues have occurred. But yes, we've seen in municipalities across the country where emergency situations are created so that they don't follow due process. But in this instance specifically, not paying province for 13 months, for goodness sake, we've got a MEC of Transport in the city of Johannesburg that has failed in their duty. We've got MECs on a provincial level, and then you've got the Minister of Transport. So the question of why haven't they intervened months ago is really, I think, something that we need to look at. The deterioration and failure doesn't open overnight, and I believe heads must roll.
They probably won't. In the meanwhile, the queues, I was going to say grow longer, but the queues don't grow at all because word gets out that there's no point going to site A or site B because there's nothing happening there. I mean, what are people's alternatives if they need a temporary license, if there's a renewal that needs doing?
Look, I know that there's some leniency where something expires or a license expires of I think it's up to 3 months. But obviously we want to be proactive. We want to not go through that process. But let's be honest, it's not a very nice process to go through. You have to go take a day off leave. Yes. You need to go and stand in a queue. It's so cumbersome. So I think, and hopefully whoever gets into power or resolves this issue looks at the whole process to just improve that. I know that at the Gautrain station, apparently there's a license department that's open, and there's a couple, I think one can look at notices, but we've also seen that the city has spoken and said that some of these stations are open, and that was not the case, or rather they are open but not for PDP and learners licenses and these things because they don't have ink or paper to do the work. And I think this is really laughable, and this is the economic hub supposedly of the country. It's embarrassing.
Julius Kleinhans, thank you. Joining us from Outer, where he is Executive Manager for Local Government. So, two-part question. I mean, have you been to a licensing station, trying to get your business done and found your efforts confounded by what I've briefly described and what Anna Cox has detailed in a lot of detail on the Daily Maverick site? And then I'm also keen to hear if you work in one of those places, because I'm sure most of you go to work with the intention of giving the public a decent service. Yes, I realize that the work conditions can be dispiriting. A lot of those officers, I spoke to somebody who went to the licensing department in Randburg, actually got very good service, but said, my goodness, quite a depressing place to work, not well looked after at all. But if you work there, I mean, share with me your feelings about coming to work and there's no printer paper, trying to print something and there's no toner, etc., etc. And somebody's got to stand at the door and say to everybody, please go away because we can't help you. I mean, I can't believe you feel great about that. So if you work there, call us. If you've been there to be served and been turned away or found that actually some places are still working, just your experience, whatever it is. 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
Let's say rugby, for example. You've got your schools that are very, very big on rugby. And we know that children can get sporting scholarships. What are some of those other pressures that these young people face beyond just winning the first team match?
It's lovely that we can open doors and opportunities that some families otherwise would not have access to. But we must remember that the time or the life stage that we're looking at for these young athletes are also a time where they're developing their independence. So it's not just the academic demands that they're grappling with.
Jigini Pakari, counseling psychologist.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
Vandalism and theft of water infrastructure affects everyone. Damage to pipes, meters, valves, reservoirs, and other critical infrastructure can result in water outages, low pressure, sewer spillages, and costly repairs that impact communities across Johannesburg. Johannesburg Water urges residents to help protect public infrastructure by reporting suspicious activity affecting the water network. To report incidents or water-related faults, call Johannesburg Water on 010 061 4470. That's on 010 061 4470. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water.
It's a good thing you're naked at the mall. Because what if you're absolutely certain that you parked on level 3, but level 3 has no idea what you're talking about? With Naked, you can submit your car theft claim instantly on the app. Go to naked.insure now and get comprehensive car insurance at a lower premium. Because when bad things happen, it's a good thing you're naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Everyone has their first. That life-changing moment when the music spoke to your soul and you both listened. With global icons Kamasi Washington, Angelique Kidjo, Themba Mkhize and Africa Mkhize, Ibrahim Malouf, Flowetree, Manana, Internet Ati, and over 40 world-class acts. This is Jazz Reignited, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, 25th and 26th September. Buy your weekend pass now via Ticketmaster.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, the news at 5 in just a moment. After that, a couple of stories we're going to be talking about. One of those is to look at what happened at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. We've heard some extraordinary stories from people who've been asked to explain large amounts of money being put into their bank accounts. I'm not quite sure we've heard anything quite as, well, let's just say, remarkable as we heard today. Karinda Jagmohan, EWN reporter, will be updating us on that. And then we're coming to the deadline, 31st of August, i.e. midnight tonight, when SASSA beneficiaries need to switch to the Postbank black cards. How are we doing in that regard? We'll hear from Dr. Paseka Litsatsi, SASSA spokesperson. That's coming up after 5 as well.
This is EWN.
Madlanga Commission likens movement of money to money laundering, and Malema ordered to apologize to Judge Giuachile Matojane. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Madlanga Commission has likened the movement of multiple cash payments by KZN Hawks officer Dina Govender to money laundering. Govender is under cross-examination and has struggled to explain why he circumvented cash payments from his relatives and friends via external parties back into his account today. It's been alleged that Govender and other officials carried out extrajudicial killings on behalf of tow truck operators involved in drug and gang activities. He has been accused of receiving at least 2 million rand for one such alleged operation in 2023. New evidence before the Commission today revealed the payments to Govender's account in the months before and after the operation aggregated to more than 3 million rand. Evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson questioned him about this.
Why would you take 300,000 rands in cash to your family friend, Mr. Cassie Shamal, who is an accountant but isn't your accountant, and ask him to keep the cash and arrange a bank transfer into your account? Why wouldn't you just go to your bank and give them 300,000 rands?
It was much more easier for me to do that there.
You see, Lieutenant Colonel Govender, what it looks like to me is this is a transaction that has all the hallmarks of a money laundering transaction.
Not really, Commissioner.
The Jacob Zuma Foundation has dismissed claims that the former president is trying to avoid appearing at the TRC cases inquiry. This morning, the Constitutional Court dismissed a bid by Zuma and former President Thabo Mbeki to have the Commission's chair, Justice Sisi Khampepe, recuse herself. This means Zuma and Mbeki must appear before Khampepe as witnesses. The TRC cases inquiry is investigating allegations of political interference that stopped the prosecution of apartheid-era crimes. The Zuma Foundation Mzwanele Manyi would not comment on whether the former president would be willing to testify or not.
Look, we'll cross the bridge when we get to it. The commission continuing its work, we are in full support. The issues of all the people that have done wrong things at the TRC level, we are fully supportive. There's never been any equivocation from President Zuma in terms of supporting that process. The only issue has been an individual issue.
EFF leader Julius Malema will have to tender a formal apology to Supreme Court of Appeal Judge Giuachile Matojane in Parliament by next month. Malema has run out of legal options to challenge a finding by Parliament's Ethics Committee that his questioning of the judge on a personal case at the Judicial Service Commission was out of line. In 2019, Matojane ordered the EFF to pay damages to former Finance Minister Trevor Manuel after suggesting the appointment appointment of former SARS Commissioner Edward Kieswetter had been corrupt. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Following a complaint from the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution, Parliament's Ethics Committee found in 2021 that Julius Malema had breached the Code of Ethical Conduct and ordered him to apologise to Judge Matsujane for his questioning at the JSC. But Malema approached the Western Cape High Court to interdict Parliament's ruling pending a review of the decision. The review was concluded last year with the court dismissing all 5 grounds of Malema's challenge. Speaker Toka Didiza ordered Malema to submit the apology in February this year, failing which he could be held in contempt of Parliament. With Malema not having complied, the Powers and Privileges Committee took up the matter, and through a legal letter, Malema has now agreed to follow through on the apology. Malema is now to liaise with Didiza to ensure he tenders the apology in the House by the 30th of next month. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
In a bid to bolster crime fighting, the City of Cape Town has launched a public safety operations centre that will use technology to fast-track responses. The centre will integrate responses from emergency services, the police and traffic officials, enabling seamless deployment. The hub was launched by Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis and Safety and Security MMC JP Smith this afternoon. They've added that the city will make use of gadgets including drones, body cameras and CCTV cameras to strengthen crime fighting. Smith says law enforcement agencies need to use technology to stay ahead of criminals.
John says in his radio broadcast, so if you've got all this stuff, why are we still failing? Why is crime so bad? Where is the crime intelligence? And that is exactly where we're failing. It's the real-time intelligence, the crime information, and that is the capacity we are building here, so we do not fail the victims of crime.
And the Democratic Republic of Congo has recorded more than 6,000 confirmed cases of Ebola since being declared in mid-May. The latest outbreak is the fastest spreading in history and has now reached 2 health zones with a total of 60 areas now affected. The current epidemic is caused by the Bundibugyo strain of the virus, which has no approved vaccine nor specific treatment exists. Congolese health authorities say 2,911 people have died, while 1,366 more have made a recovery out of the total confirmed cases. Gold is trading at $4,482.21 an ounce. The rand is at 16.12 to the dollar, 21.83 to the pound, 18.74 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $91.28 a barrel.
Accident seen in Linksfield on the N3 southbound near Linksfield Road, causing more than an hour delay all the way from the Patloo interchange. Benoni, there's still slow-moving traffic on Atlas Road between Top Road and the N12, and in Tembisa, traffic pressure on Olifantsfontein Road between Pumlani Mall and the R21.
In your sport, the Springboks make one change to the squad for the third test, with Kurtley Arendse replacing Damian Willemse. Golden Arrows player confusion over the away goal rule helps Mamelodi Sundowns secure their spot in the MTN 8 final. And Novak Djokovic falls in US Open first round. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 9 degrees, peaking at 26. Pretoria 11 and 27, and Vereeniging 8 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN. The Madlanga Commission has likened the movement of multiple cash payments by KZN Hawks officer Dina Govender to money laundering.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes past 5 on 702 Drive. How's your Monday been? Hope it's been a good one. I hope you've got a good week ahead. Mentioned earlier in the show. Any big things coming up? Maybe a personal celebration of some kind? Maybe you going somewhere and getting an award. Maybe you've got a big sports challenge that you are facing. Or maybe at work there's a key presentation of something that you got to do, either to your colleagues or to a client, and you are geared up for it, a little bit nervous, but then you ought to be, hey, because all the best things always are laced with a little bit of nerves. Coming up on the show over the next half an hour or so, first of all, a conversation with our EWN colleague, Corinda Jagmohan. She's watched what I think has been one of the more remarkable sessions at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And I mean, that's against a very, very, very high bar. But Corinda will tell you more when she joins us. That shortly. Later in this half hour, Dr. Pasega Litsatsi joins us from the South African Social Security Agency. TikTok owes the clock. There's still more than 70,000 people who've not switched from the SASSA Gold Card to the Postbank Black Card. They've been pushing around this for quite a while, trying to get people to actually get this done. What happens tomorrow? My understanding is if you don't have the new card, you cannot access. Of course, there are many people who do this through their banks anyway. As I understand it, they won't be affected. But it's never a good thing when people who are in the grant system find themselves on the outside because of a structural change. More on that with Dr. Litsatsi at about 20 minutes past 5. We've got a couple of you responding to some of the issues we've been raising. And then we're going to play you some music, just setting us up for the 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes that we use at the end of the show to play you some tunes.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Carlo here. I'm working abroad. I've left South Africa in 2013, I think. Jeez, when you don't stay home, you're always homesick. You're always homesick. Every time whenever I visit home, the minute I land at OR Tambo and I hear the languages that I understand, I hear the accents, it makes my life so happy. You become so happy. All right? Thanks, Carlo here.
Yeah, I mean, we asked a question earlier about homesickness and how you deal with it. We've still got that thread running. Thank you, Carlo. And if you've got something to add to that, please do. Now, music. We asked you a simple question. What is the song that is your celebration song? And it doesn't have to be celebration as in celebration with a capital C and capital letters all the way through, like weddings and, birthdays and graduations and so on. It could be just something you play to celebrate the small things in life as well. This is our first contribution. This is Msaki. Listen. Oh, that's like a warm, quiet, quite wonderful celebration, I think. But what's your tune? It doesn't have to be like that. It can be a banger. As I said, it can be for the massive, memorable things in life or just the small things that also take us forward on the journey we hope to complete someday, which, of course, we never do. 12 minutes past 5. Time for traffic.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Again, Linksfield, Karabo Charlie, not getting better.
Not at all, John, at this stage. So if you're leaving Midrand heading towards Germiston, avoid the N3 South at all costs. There's an accident seen in the Linksfield area near Linksfield Road, and this is causing more than an hour delay all the way from the Patlu interchange. Benoni, also slow-moving traffic on Atlas Road between Top Road and the N12, while in Tembisa there's traffic pressure on Olifantsfontein Road between Pumulani Mall and the R21. Bursley, Kempton Park, traffic sluggish on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and Mooifontein Street in Doornkop. Soweto, traffic congested on the R558 between Main Road and Bulani Road, and in Hermanstad, Pretoria, leaving the CBD, expect some delays on Eskiam Patlele between Vormhagen and the R80. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Deciding to ignore the DIY instructions may only cost you a few hours, but deciding to stay with your current car insurance could be costing you thousands of Rand in savings a year. With Outsurance, 48-year-old Adam saves an unbelievable 1,803 Rand a month on his 2020 Audi Q3. Switch to Outsurance. You too could be one quote away from having more money in your pocket every month. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurance FSP, TCs and information online.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
We know that SIU had moved on Morgan Maumela, for example, but how much progress is actually being made?
The SIU's findings were clear. There was rampant fraud, and that should occasion criminal charges. That it's taken this long, and we're now in the space of years, tells us that there's perhaps not the requisite capacity and capability when it comes to investigating complex financial crimes, either on the part of the Hawks or the Hawks and the NPA.
Jeff Wicks is the Deputy Investigations Editor at News 24.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Planning for retirement doesn't have to be overwhelming. PPS is hosting its 6th annual retirement summit on 19 September, where you can learn how to build, grow, and protect your wealth. Whether you're under 45 and focused on wealth accumulation or over 45 and thinking about wealth preservation, there's a dedicated program designed for your life stage at only 150 Rand per person. Book now at pps.co.za/retirement summit. PPS, success is better shared. PPS is a licensed life insurer, controlling company, and authorized FSP.
At Checkers, every day gets better and better. Get better freshness, better choices, and better value for money. With deals like Parmalat cheddar or Gouda cheese, 850 grams, any two for 239 Rand. Dr. Utker Ital frozen pizza foldover, 2 per pack, any two for 129 Rand. And Twin Saver 2-ply white toilet rolls, 24 per pack for 149.99. Valid until 6 September, only at Checkers.
702 Drive with John Perlman was in conversation with Sizekaya about their new Multiplay 2 innovation and the future of the National Lottery.
The first thing we will say is more jackpot winners, right? That's what we're about. Definitely really Africanizing the experience, bringing the experience back to South Africa for South Africans by South Africans. That's always been our philosophy, and that's what we were about. So it's really just ensuring that we tick all the boxes, and through the research that we're doing now, is trying to understand what's working, what's not working, what the South Africans are liking about Sizekaya and what they don't like, and really working as a team collectively to correct anything that may be uncomfortable.
To hear the full interview, visit primemediaplus.com. Brought to you by Sizekaya on 702. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizekaya.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus our attention now on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. On one level, it struck me as a succession of quite absurd explanations for money that had ended up in the bank account of a senior policeman. But lest people think this was amusing in any way, the background is that this particular policeman, Hawks Colonel Dina Govender, stands accused of actually being involved in the murder of people down in KZN. So with those two bits of context, let's bring in Karinda Jagmohan, EWN reporter. Karinda, very good afternoon to you. Some of the explanations, let's begin with that, because that certainly stood out for the money in Colonel Govender's account, were, to put it mildly, treated with skepticism by the commissioners and by the evidence leader. What were some of the explanations that Colonel Govender offered? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Well, you did put it mildly, because both evidence leaders and Commissioner Khumalo said that this bears the hallmarks of money laundering. So these are payments that Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender received before and after his task team conducted an operation in Durban in which they fatally wounded tow truck driver Bevan Loftus and 4 others. Now, it's been alleged that Govender did this at the behest of a rival of Loftus, Clive Nyker, for the incentive of payments for over 2 million Rand. He denies this. But the cash deposits, multiple cash deposits to his account, actually aggregate and amount to over 3 million Rand. So he says that these were payments from his family members, from someone he considered a father father, from his brother as a loan to buy a new house. He also says that some payments, cash deposits of almost 300,000 rand, were from his mother-in-law from the proceeds of her gambling. That also came up. And he says that on one fine Tuesday, he sat with her at an ATM and deposited the 100 rand notes into the account, all amounting up. And this is quite unbelievable, which has really saw the commissioner be suspicious by this, because also he says that in some of these cases he paid cash to a family friend who is an accountant, who then paid a client to have the money reverted back to Dina Govinda's account. It sounds very, very sort of suspicious, and that is because ultimately the commission has asked, well, wouldn't this be more difficult? And Dina Govinda says, I thought it was easy, I would evade bank charges, but he's still not been able to explain why he did this sort of runaround for these cash payments, and it will have to be probed further.
Yeah, it is a quite extraordinary set of explanations that are being offered. To what extent, Corinda, has the questioning drawn a direct link yet between, on the one hand, the implausible explanations of the money and its origins and its method of payment, and the shooting of Bevan Loftus, the tow truck operator, who I think I heard Colonel Govinda say was himself involved in illegal activities. Have those particular dots been joined yet, or is that still to come?
Yeah, that still has to come, because the allegation was first made by an IPID officer, but he had no solid evidence to say that Loftus' rival, Clive Nika, had paid Dina Govinda. They only have a recording that was played out in which Loftus himself once called Nika to say, I know you have a 2 million rand bounty on my head and I know you've paid this to Govinda. But of course, that still has to be verified, and there's still no direct link between Nika, the transactions that were made, and Govinda. However, we know that Govinda describes Nika as an informant. He also describes another businessman and crime-accused person, Tami Marimuthu, as an informant. These role players, Loftus, Nika, Marimuthu, they have all been linked to crime. It's something that has been known in terms of the tow truck drivers transporting drugs allegedly, certain tow truck drivers, and then operating in gang activities for which certain police officers are shielding them. This is why the commission is investigating it. But you are right, there is no concrete link yet to actually pin Govinda to the payments allegedly coming from Nika, or that the payments came from Nika. What we have seen, though, is that it seems like this task team, the anti-gang unit, and the ad hoc teams that Govinda established for these purposes to track down Loftus did not follow any judicial oversight. In fact, in one instance, they didn't have a warrant of arrest. They sort of just converged onto the premises to try and track down Loftus. So these are some of the issues coming to the fore where Govinda can't really explain why he did certain actions when it came to Loftus.
Extraordinary times at the Madlanga Commission, but indeed whenever isn't that true? Corinda Jagmohan, EWN, reporter summing up what's happened today. 22 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus on this now. Midnight tonight is the deadline for beneficiaries currently receiving grants to migrate from SASSA Gold cards to Postbank Black cards. And if they don't succeed in doing that in the hours that remain of today, they may face interrupted access to their grants during the September payment period. Let's get clarity then on where we stand with all of this. Dr. Paseka Litsatsi speaks for the South African Social Security Agency, SASSA. Dr. Litsatsi, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. We understand somewhere over 70,000 people have yet to make the change. That is obviously a lot of people. If you expand that number to include those who depend on those grants, it's an even bigger one. But just to put it in perspective, how many people needed to migrate and how many have done so successfully? Because I do think that context is also important.
Good afternoon, John, and thanks for having me. You are quite right that there was a significant number of people who had the gold SASSA cards. We can safely say there were about 1.2 million people who had to migrate from a gold SASSA card into a Postbank card. As we sit here today, we are left with about 70,000. The number that you have given is correct. who have still have to migrate. But obviously, 71 might say it's 70,000. One might say it's a small number, but obviously, in our terms, it's a very big number because people need money,
of course,
to be able to access. But look, today was the D-Day for everybody to migrate. Tomorrow, those who have not swapped their card, unfortunately, they won't be able to access their grant. And this is purely issues which were raised by the Reserve Bank in terms of the security features associated with the gold card. The government was bleeding a lot. So there was no way in which government could have sat down and observe money being stolen using these cards and do nothing.
So, Dr. Litsatsi, let's fast forward. I don't know where the payment periods vary slightly in different parts of the country, but payments are underway and an elderly person arrives, they've got the gold card, they cannot access their grant. What happens next? I mean, for example, is there any geographical pattern to the people who failed to make the switch where you could concentrate resources in anticipation of this happening, or is it everywhere?
We had a meeting this morning with Postbank, and our observation as they were presenting the statistics is that KZN and Eastern Cape, that's where there's the highest concentration of people who still have to do the card swap. I don't want to say a lot, John, but I can tell you now that once we are done and everybody is done, there are those who decided that they are not going to do the card swap. And I'm sure me and you and the listeners can just make an assumption, or we know the reason why they've decided to go underground and not do the card swap.
Yes.
Because they know that when they come to do the card swap, we're going to arrest them.
Yes. Okay.
So
that brings the number down. I mean, just finally to return to the point you made right at the beginning that this is for security reasons. The what's the word? The upgraded features of the black card. Summarize those for us, if you will. I mean, what makes them so much safer? Is it purely in the chips, in the technology, or is there something that lay people like myself might understand as an improvement?
Me and you, our cards have our names on them.
Yes.
This card did not have a number. So it means if someone drops it,
yes,
I can simply pick it up and go and withdraw the money. And secondly, we know that we are dealing with the most vulnerable sector of our society, the old people. I just need to know which year you were born, and I would know that it's your PIN. Mm-hmm. Because they just give us the PIN 1964.
Right.
But obviously the chip there, I mean the technology there was just compromised big time. I'm not that technologically savvy, but as they explained to me, that it was simply easy for someone to steal the card. That's why we caught people with hundreds of cards. They just steal them and go activate them.
Yes.
And start colluding with some corrupt staff of SASSA, loads the money, and then they keep on withdrawing money every month.
Yeah, well, let's hope that over the next few weeks we see some kind of improvement in dealing with that problem. Dr. Pasega Litsatsi speaks for the South African Social Security Agency. 7:02 drive it is, 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, very good afternoon to you, joining us once again after, I don't know what kind of day we've had. Muddling along or anything striking?
Yeah, no, backwards, I think, John. Good afternoon. Higher oil prices, the main reason for that, putting pressure on platinum in particular, gold as well, and that's sent those shares down. The rand holding its own, though, which probably helps, and I suppose, higher oil prices not doing anything to help anybody. Higher fuel prices coming in tomorrow night, you really do want to fill up now. The JSE All Share down 1.62%, 116,257. Financials down 0.65. Industrials down 0.36. Resources down 3.82% at the moment. Now, obviously, oil, any energy shares doing quite nicely. Tungela's up 4.25%. Sasol's up 2.43%. Sun International up nearly 2.5%. Old Mutual, they had an update. They're up 2.11%. And the JSE's up 1.66%. Canal Plus, John, when I spoke to you last, we're up, I think, around 4%. Now they're down nearly 10%. Now this will be, I think, international trading. They're down 9.64% on the day. Harmony and, the gold and platinum mine is having a tough day. So Harmony's down 6.25%, Valterra's down 6%. But also Truworths are down 4% on the day as well. I'm not entirely sure of one specific reason for that, except that higher oil prices do put a lot of pressure on consumers. Eskom doubling their profit for the financial year to the end of June. Would have made a lot more money, they said, if it wasn't for electricity theft. Does need more industrial customers, though, because their demand for power is down 6%, which is quite dramatic over the course of a year. Every CEO we speak to tells us how much power they're saving by producing their own electricity. The big pet food problem at RCL Foods, if you have a posh pet and they've been turning their nose up at what you've been offering them and you've been threatening to make them sleep outside, even though you know you won't, RCL Foods say they're getting that back online. Their headline earnings were down 32%. Their pet division was down 20%. They were hit with a salmonella outbreak. That to stop production. Their major problem has been cheaper sugar imports, though. That's had a big impact on them, although new sugar tariffs coming in are imposed on Friday, so that might help. And Bidvest saying their trading profits up 10%. We've seen their freight section doing quite nicely because we're selling a lot more food and minerals overseas, and Bell Equipment just warning that their headline earnings per share will be down 76%, lower demand in some of their markets, they say. In the US, things are looking down because of higher oil prices. The Dow Jones is down 0.62%, the Nasdaq down 0.41%, the S&P 500 down 0.48%. The gold price, $4,432.62, platinum $1,802, Brent crude $90.51, the rand to the dollar 16.13, to the euro 18.73, to the British pound 21.86. On the Money Show tonight, John, the CEO at RCL Foods, the CEO of Eskom, Dan Marikane. A couple of big questions for him around electricity pricing, in particular the new pricing tariff, the new pricing system that's supposed to come in. Is it really going to make electricity cheaper? If it does, what impact will that have on them? What are they going to do with this sort of surplus? We're going from famine to feast with electricity, it would seem. We will also talk about the sugar tariff. The CEO of the AA is coming in. We'll talk fuel prices, but specifically about, they've been on a big campaign to make cars safer. And some of that's been adopted in new protocols, so we will talk about that. And then how I make my money, someone I'm sure you will know, Yaki Saliers, is talking about the job of being a think tanker, an analyst, a thinker. How do you make money from that? We'll get some hints from Yaki Saliers from 7:30. Stephen Recruiters, EWN Business.
Think tankers can turn around much quicker than oil tankers, I would believe, to make a huge difference. Time for the news. Here's Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the deployment of the army to help in the fight against crime has been a success and has seen a reduction of murders in the worst policing precincts. Ramaphosa says this is a clear indication that the intervention in some of the crime hotspots has had a stabilizing effect. Ramaphosa was responding to a written parliamentary question from the MK party. Babalondenze reports.
The deployment of the army is part of Operation Prosper, where President Cyril Ramaphosa deployed more than 2,000 SANDF members to work with the police in crime hotspots. He says the deployment has contributed to a reduction in violent crime and murders in 14 of the 17 most affected police precincts, with most of them in the Western Cape and Cape Town Metro. He says this indicates that the intervention has impacted affected areas, notwithstanding the persistence of gang-related violence. Ramaphosa says this is driven by deep-seated socio-economic conditions and entrenched criminal networks. Ramaphosa says the intervention is assessed on measurable operational indicators like reductions in violent crime and murder in the affected precincts, as well as the number of arrests effected. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
A forensic investigation has concluded that Tshwane City Manager Johan Metler did not refuse to conduct lifestyle audits on senior staff as alleged by the EFF. The independent investigation commissioned by the Metro has cleared Metler of all 21 charges lodged against him by the party. The EFF accused Metler of failing to comply with an instruction from the mayoral committee to conduct lifestyle audits on all senior officials in the municipality. Alpha Ramashwana reports.
While the EFF claimed in its complaint that Tshwane City Manager Johan Metla ignored a directive to conduct lifestyle audits on all senior municipal officials. Metla told investigators that he did not recall receiving such an instruction. The independent forensic investigation has now found that the mayoral committee did not issue a clear directive to the city manager to conduct the lifestyle audits. It found that the allegation that Metla ignored the directive could not be substantiated, as the instruction was neither clear nor formally communicated in writing. The report recommends that the municipality consider developing and adopting a formal policy on lifestyle audits. Although Metla has been cleared of this charge, the investigation recommends that he engage the SIU and other relevant bodies to explore feasible and cost-effective options for implementing lifestyle audits. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And in Greece, measures to confront concerns over purchasing power have kicked in today. As a result, prices of more than 1,700 grocery and school supply items fell by an average of 9.5%. The price reductions will be in place until the end of the year. The measure adds to a reduction of 10 cents a litre on petrol and 5 cents a litre on diesel, which has been in place for 2 months. The Greek economy took a major hit from the decade-long debt crisis that began in 2008, with earnings failing to keep pace with the rest of the EU. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 8 and 11 degrees and highs of between 26 and 27.
Accident seen in Alex. This is on the N3 southbound, just after Marlborough Drive, causing heavy delays all the way from the Batlu interchange. As a result of that accident scene, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on Marlborough Drive. In Benoni, there's slow-moving traffic on Atlas Road between Top Road and the N12, and in Tembisa, traffic pressure on Olifantsfontein Road between Pumlani Mall and the R21.
The top story in EWN, President Cyril Ramaphosa says the deployment of the army to help in the fight against crime has been a success and has seen a reduction of murders in the worst policing precincts.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
We know the SIU had moved on Morgan Maumela, for example, but how much progress is actually being made?
The SIU's findings were clear. There was rampant fraud, and that should occasion criminal charges. That it's taken this long, and we're now in the space of years, tells us that there's perhaps not the requisite capacity and capability when it comes to investigating complex financial crimes, either on the part of the Hawks or the Hawks and the NPA.
Jeff Wicks is the Deputy Investigations Editor at News 24.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test.
You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
You made your mark on election day. But what happens after the votes are counted? This week, catch the Clement Manyatela Show in conversation with the South African Local Government Association on 702. Tune in as we unpack how local democracy works, what you can expect from your ward councillor, and how every resident can play a meaningful role in shaping their community. Democracy lives here. Make your voice count beyond the ballot box. The Clement Manyatela Show in conversation with Salga, inspiring service delivery. This week on 702.
Local government elections aren't about politics. They're about the roads you drive every day, the water you need, the electricity you rely on, the rates you pay, the services you deserve. You see, local government isn't somewhere else. It's your neighborhood, your street, your home. So in the run-up to the local government elections, 702, Cape Talk, and EWN will be where the issues that matter to you are put in the spotlight, where the tough questions are asked, where the crucial conversations begin, because this is more than local. It's personal. Follow every moment of the local government election on 702, Cape Talk, and EWN.co.za. Download the EWN app.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Sport in a moment on 702 Drive, but coming up in the last part of the show, we'll play music as we always do. The question I've been asking you is, tell us which song you play when you're in a celebratory mood. And it doesn't have to be anything big like the first dance at your wedding or anything like that, maybe a birthday celebration. But it can also be, a great day at work or good news from a friend who's found a job and there's a song that you play and you guys listen to. I've got a few celebratory songs of my own, but I'd much, much, much rather, as I always say, hear yours. And we've got a couple from the team as well. A song that you play that either puts you in a celebratory mood or enhances it because something really good has happened, however big or small. Please send us those on 072 702 1702. We could always add to our playlists as well. 21 minutes now to 6.
EWN Sport.
Well, the Proteas didn't have much to celebrate last time they were playing, but they are back in action tomorrow, Tola Kele.
Absolutely, John, and that's in a T20 clash against Zimbabwe and looking for back-to-back wins following a 7-wicket success over the same opponents on Saturday. Gwena Mabaka returned to the national team in that victory as he looks to stake his claim in the side. That's with series against Australia and England coming up. Additionally, he could be tasked with taking over from Kagiso Rabada, who's struggling with a hamstring injury.
I really hope that KG is back in time. But if that doesn't happen, it's one of those things where somebody has to step up. And if that's me, I'm really confident in my abilities. I've led a bowling attack before with the Lions, with SN 19. I've been in the Proteas setup for a little bit now. So I'm really confident in my abilities, and I think I'll be able to do the job if I'm asked to do so.
Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus admits he's frustrated by Dave Rennie's accusations that the Boks were walking around opponents in the scrum. That's in the second test of rugby's greatest rivalry. Erasmus has accused his All Blacks counterpart of bypassing official channels by airing his grievances when it comes to any issues he has about the Boks technique.
Once you put a narrative out like that, everybody starts focusing on that. All media, all podcasts, everybody, and then they start analysing that. And then there's a lot of people who's analysing that who's got no knowledge about scrums really. I myself would not be a person that talk with authority about scrums, but I do know how Don coaches the scrums. We will never ever in our life say, let's walk around the team. That's not our strength. That's not how we do this. I'm not frustrated with the fact that Dave wants to get it out, but there's a lot of things I want to get out about New Zealand, but I only have 5 clips I can send in post a match.
In news just in, Lionel Messi has announced his retirement from international football, saying while the decision hurts, he understands that the time has come. In July, the Argentina captain led his nation to a second successive World Cup final, but they missed out on a chance to successfully defend their title following defeat to Spain. Messi is his nation's all-time top goal scorer with 125 strikes and their most capped player with 207 appearances. Switching over to the Premier League, that's where defending champions Arsenal go up against Aston Villa this evening and looking to keep their winning start to the season going. Several players could make their debuts for both teams. That includes Leon Goretzka, who's joined Unai Emery's side as a free agent following his departure from Bayern Munich.
High-level experience. He's a winner. He's a very competitive player. He is still being young, 31 years old. And for us, he's a good player to add in our squad, in our structure. As a player with experience, as a player with qualities, a player, versatile player, can play in different positions. He arrived fit and he's training well, and hopefully on Monday he can be on the field.
And Miguel Cardoso has credited Mamelodi Sundowns' CAF Champions League success for helping them get over the line in their MTN 8 semi-final. They overturned a 1-goal deficit in their 2-leg clash to draw 3-3 with Lamontville Golden Arrows as they advanced to the final on the away goals rule, where they'll take on 4-time defending champions Orlando Pirates on the 10th of October.
Today was a big match. It was an important one. When the competition started, we said that we would like to be on the final. I asked the boys and said, guys, I need to play this final. I want you guys to play this final. Obviously, that we need to manage contacts. It means that in some matches we rotate players, or most of the matches we rotate players. For sure, it will happen again in the future. But we also try to make everybody believe and understand that the answer that they give when we rotate is exactly the confidence that makes us make it.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's catch up with what's happening out on the roads. I remember we had problems in the area of London Road, or pushing all the way up to London Road earlier in Alex. Those back in business.
Well, we had an accident, to be specific. It was on the N3 near Linksfield Road. And that one, it looks like has been cleared. But further up the Alex area, now there's another accident. accident scene. This is on the N3 South, just after Marlborough Drive, and causing heavy delays all the way from the Butlu interchange. As a result of that accident scene, traffic is also heavily backed up on Marlborough Drive. In Benoni, slow-moving traffic on Atlas Road between Top Road and the N12. In Tembisa, traffic pressure on Olifantsfontein Road between Pumlani Mall and the R21, while in Bursley, Kempton Park, traffic remains sluggish on Modderfontein Road. This is between Pretoria Road and Mooifontein Street. In the capital, Doornkop, traffic congested. In Soweto, traffic remains congested on the R558. That's in Doornkop between Main Road and Polani Road. In the capital this time, there's heavy delays in Garsfontein on Garsfontein Road approaching Solomon Mahlangu. Hermanstad leaving the Pretoria CBD. Expect some delays on Eskiam Pahlele between Wormhagen and the R80. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Standard Bank Joy of Jazz returns on September 25 and 26.
Thank you so much.
Join 702 at the Dina Lady stage. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive at 16 minutes to 6. What is that song that you just play when you've got something that you're feeling fabulous about, celebratory about, and it may well just be one of those small things in life that you, for example, manage to get home through the traffic without getting really annoyed with yourself. Those kind of things, I think, are worth celebrating as well. Karabo Charlie, you were mulling it over a little bit, and you've got a song and you've got a story to go with it.
Definitely. This is a song you can play when you're stuck in traffic just to calm you down. It doesn't only just put me in a good mood, but it also reminds me of all the challenges that I've overcome, despite the obstacles and the doubts that I faced. And it's a perfect sing-along. So, yeah, it's a TKZ family song, Fella Kai.
There we go. Let's have it.
Sekuzophela ukushishiliza manje yazi.
Fella Kai by TKZ. You heard a little bit of Madonna at the beginning there. Papa Don't Preach.
Interesting.
Very nice. Okay, so tell us, please, your song that you use and you play whenever you feel you've got something to celebrate or someone to celebrate. Send those, please, to 072 702 1702. It's 13 minutes to 6.
Last 24 hours. This is what's happened in your world.
A suspected illegal mining kingpin has died during a shootout with police in Carltonville. Officers say an operation was conducted yesterday where the suspect was believed to be staying. Police identified themselves, but the man responded by pointing an AK-47 assault rifle Spokesperson Athlenda Mates says the officers were compelled to respond with force.
The operation was conducted as part of ongoing efforts by the SAPS to dismantle illegal mining syndicates. Deceased suspect was known to police as one of the dangerous illegal mining kingpins.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
There's so much health information out there, but how do you know what to trust? Catch the Clement Manyatela show tomorrow from 9 a.m. for Health Matters by Cipla Africa, where we'll be unpacking important health conversations designed to help you better understand your body and well-being. Health Matters by Cipla Africa is a trusted hub, bringing you expert-led health conversations that you can trust. Then head to the Prime Media Plus app or primemediaplus.com. Scroll to Prime Media Highlights and watch the latest Health Matters video featuring leading experts and thought-provoking conversations. Or WhatsApp the keyword health to 072 702 1702 and we will send you the link to all the content.
So the other day I get this call from an insurance company. They asked if they could quote me. I said, quote me? I can't remember what I said, but if you're still thinking about it, it must have been pretty good. Mom always said I have a way with words. They just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Starting with my gorgeous spring veg stew, one pan, loads of veg, no fuss. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
Dad, how come Mom's not coming to my soccer game?
Well, Mom isn't allowed to come to your soccer games anymore.
Is it because she tried to tackle Coach KB for giving me a red card?
Maybe.
Humans who fiercely protect the people they love. Welcome. Search Liberty Protect to protect your life and legacy today. Liberty, in it with you, all of you. Liberty Group Limited, a licensed life insurer and authorized FSP and part of the Standard Bank Group. T's and C's, risks and limitations apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, 9 minutes to 6. We're wanting to hear your celebration songs, the song you play when something really good has happened to you or someone you really care about. I think we've got a little bit of a problem with our voice note and text line on 072 702 1702. In fact, we're pretty sure that we do have that difficulty. So can I say, if you've sent something and you really want to, get your song across and tell us a little bit something about when and where you play that song, why don't you give us a call? Because our phone lines are definitely doing okay while we try and sort out that WhatsApp difficulty. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 011 883 0702. Out of habit, I was about to say 011 883 0702 and 072, which is what I always do, except 072 is not really helping us. So call us, please, and we can chat and we can get your song and we can play that song as soon as we've dug it out of our library. We do have this, though, from Tsepo. Tsepo is starting a new job tomorrow. How fabulous is that, Tsepo? Wonderful, wonderful. I'd really, really love you to have a great success and a great celebration once you've got your feet under the desk. And if you were able to do that, you would play this song by AKA. It's called Congratulate Me. And we do. We most definitely do.
Starts out with a pipe dream, white tea and an ice cream. All day on the MySpace, MJ trying to buy face. I had to pay dues, dress the sheet. Better protect the key while I pen this acceptance speech. Do you see what it took? Is it clearer? Who you see when you look in the mirror? All the dreams and fantasies that come together. I'll be shining like a diamond, that's forever. Now congratulate me. Now congratulate me. Now congratulate me. Now congratulate me.
Yeah, wonderfully titled song. Congratulate South African rapper, the late AKA with that. Sim's calling from Yuxgay Park. Sim, when you got something to celebrate, what is the first song on the playlist? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Easy by Lionel Richie and the Commodores, Patron.
But so you celebrate in quite a chilled way, hey? I mean, easy like a Sunday morning. So even if you've got something to celebrate on a Wednesday, you still do easy like a Sunday morning. You're a laid-back guy, Sim. But you picked a great song. Yeah, you picked a cool song though. Sim, thank you. On the line from Yuxgay Park, celebrate with Lionel Richie, easy like Sunday morning.
No, it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. Seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. You see a big stone and I borrow. Yeah. That's why I'm easy.
Yeah, I can picture Sim, you know, sun setting, something cold in his hand, quiet celebration, gorgeous song actually. It's actually about a breakup, which is really interesting, but Lionel getting over it and getting over it rather beautifully, I'd have to say. Jason's in Lone Hill. Jason, when you celebrate, what do you play? Good afternoon.
How's it, John? You get what you give by the New Radicals, or just New Radicals, not the.
Okay.
The words are just inspirational, and it's all about not giving up, and you get what you give.
And what's the last thing you had to celebrate, big or small?
I suppose it's just I actually got a new job, which has been absolutely fantastic.
Well done to you. Brilliant.
So, yeah, I played it loud for the last 6 months.
Okay, well, I won't ring your neighbors or your family or loved ones and find out how they feel about it. You may need to play something else. But Jason, well done. New job. Brilliant. The New Radicals. New Radicals. Munir celebrates with On Top of the World by Imagine Dragons. Raymond goes to Alive and Kicking by Simple Minds. Such great songs coming through. I have to say, David can't make up his mind. TKZ with Mambochi and Black Eyed Peas. I got a feeling. My song would be Blessings from T-Moa, says Engatani. And they keep coming in now that our system has unplugged. And Wayne throws this out. Swedish House Mafia. Don't you worry, child. One of your voice notes at last.
Hi, Intade John. Good afternoon. For me, it will be when you're celebrating your birthday, and then there's a song by CJB called Happy Birthday. If you can play me that song. Thank you, Daddy John.
CJB with Happy Birthday. I mean, I guess you're supposed to play it on your birthday, but you know what? It's your birthday. You can play it whenever you like. So have your birthday today. Play it in 6 months' time if that's what you fancy.
Afternoon, John. Hope you're good, man. For me, a celebratory song that I really enjoy especially when I'm driving. It's a song, I think it's by Crowded House, if I'm not mistaken. The title of the song is Don't Dream It's Over. It's an amazing song. It keeps my spirit high and it keeps me going.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch the deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, hey now.
Crowded House, wonderful way on which to end, especially with the rugby match coming up. Crowded House from New Zealand, of course. That's it for 702 Drive. I'm John Perlman. Have yourselves a wonderful Monday night. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV Channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, proud to support Genser Energy's investment in the infrastructure powering West Africa's growth. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, the Eskom CEO Dan Marakane on their big profits and on how the incoming electricity tariff policy will affect them in the longer run while demand for their electricity declines. The sugar industry celebrates as government raises tariffs on imports, but it will hurt your pocket. We'll speak to the AA CEO, Bomi Ramagwede, about plans to make cars safer as fuel prices jump tomorrow night. The CEO at RCL and their posh pet food problems, how executives are burning out because they're always on. And from 7:30, Yaki Salier's on the business of being a think tanker. All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Sibs Matiela. KZN Hawks senior officer Dina Govender will return soon to the Madlanga Commission for cross-examination after concluding his testimony today. The commission has been probing allegations that some police officers in the province colluded with criminal groups.